We are going to power through week 7, review it, flip it and reverse it. Well, not really. Just talk about what happened in week 7. And I'm doing the social media stuff right now. I streamlined it a little bit more. I did it before the stream started, which is, a product of the fact that we're in a race against the clock, guys. We have an hour before it gets popping. And I think this is going to be like the new thing that I do on Thursdays, especially considering there weren't as many games for me to watch this week. But I think this is going to be fun. It'll be like our thing. It'll be like our thing. We do this. We race against the clock to get week 7 done before Thursday Night Football kicks off. And as soon as I get the social media stuff going, we are going to pop off on the we're going to pop off is the way to phrase it. Your boy today, for the first time ever, had to do an actual interview for a social media manager, which has been something that I've theorized that I can do for a long time, but I guess we're going to find out if your boy's really about it here in a second. So, I had a video interview today where they asked me one question and I had to respond to it. So that was fun. Really pumped for me personally to get the stream that I did 2 days ago about the challenge, which, by the way, check out the Challenge Notebook, which is my podcast about the challenge, the MTV show, the challenge, my reactions to it. I rank the top 5 partner pairs, the bottom 5 partner pairs, recap the episode, talk about alliance theory and game theory and what I think is going to happen. And quite frankly, watching 37 seasons of that show has paid off. Well, I think I've watched 25. I haven't watched the old episodes and stuff like that back when they were like my age, essentially. But yeah, I've been watching for a long time, and I kind of predicted a little bit some of the beats of the show. Was kind of spot on about some certain things that could happen, what eventually would happen, and then other things I was completely wrong about. So yeah, that was fun for all of us. We are going to chop it up here. Thanks to everybody who checks in. And honestly, man, adding the challenge show has been nice because it's like non-sports related or whatever, but it's also like another opportunity for me to stream during the week, because it seems like the more that I stream, the more followers you get. Like, we're almost at 70 followers on Twitch. If you're on YouTube, we're at 24 subscribers. So if you're watching here, take that opportunity, hit that like button, hit that subscribe. Sorry, let me do it. Hey, thanks for coming out, guys, and checking out the episode. Make sure you like and subscribe. Had to do my YouTube voice. Hey guys. That reminds me. Is there another season of Hype House that came out on Netflix? Because I have to watch that absolutely terrible show. It's on my list of terrible shows to watch. We are going to get the podcast going here real quick, and then we're going to pop off. Looks like do not have a reading on the bit rate so far, so it's not great. But everything else seems to be running pretty smoothly here. We had a lot of fun. I did wait. Honestly, I think I went too long on the on my challenge episode. I'm not even gonna lie to you guys. I think I went too long. Just facts. Also, my computer reformatted its sizing to my monitor, and now things look or things are like larger on my screen than I actually want them to be. And so there are things that are I can't reformat the way things are set up. So it kind of sucks. I'm not gonna lie. Like right now, everything's like jammed together on the podcast section. So like I can't even hit the play button because of, hold on, let me see if I can just hit it with the minus button. I cannot. Yeah, I gotta fix something on my computer. But overall, it could be a lot worse. This could be one of our more efficient episodes, especially considering we technically have that extra 20 minutes before they start the broadcast. But yeah, let me make sure I can actually play the theme song. I can. Let me see if I can find the theme song for the show. Anybody remember what it is? Anybody remember the name of the theme song? Because it usually just sits. And yeah, I'm still recovering from the flu. Nose is still running. Also, the temperature is changing here a lot in Houston, so it's a lot cooler. The window is open in my room to help filter out the cigar smoke smell, because your boy was smoking before this show started. So yeah, let me. Damn, dude. What? See, I hate this. This journey that I go on to find the fucking theme song for the show, which is why I should never remove it. I think it's Memories. I'm pretty sure it's Memories. But there's so many Christina Gucas songs that I have to. It's not that one. I'm trying to find it, guys. I really am. This is the one thing I didn't calculate for. Everything else I did perfectly fine. Like I already tweeted out on all 3 of my accounts. I got to figure out a way to tweet out efficient or post efficiently on Instagram that's going to get people's attention in enough time for the show. Because Instagram, because of the way it's set up, is definitely a place where you go to post the show after it's already done, which I have not been doing. So, yeah. I will point out there's a lot of people who are just like organically finding the show. I looked at the numbers on YouTube, and people are finding it via the search bar. So there's that. I think adding in the challenge show, because apparently there's not very many challenge podcasts that exist. So not many. I'm assuming there's plenty. There's a challenge community online or whatever. But like I searched the challenge season 38 podcast, and my episode was like the second one to come up, and I think that may be skewed because I'm subscribed to myself on my other account. So yeah, which is good because it means that other people are also falling into that same trap. My first episode got like 15 views, and I think it was literally just off people searching for the episode. Don't have a consistent time that I want to do it, because I think I want to do it the day before the new episode drops, like I do the Thursday Night Football stuff. So man, I really don't want to do it, but I can't find, no, like straight up though, I'm having a tough time finding the theme song, guys. That's not it. And I should probably check YouTube to see if they demonetized any of my episodes, because they love to do that. Because Christina's posted her songs on YouTube. So they're like, oh, you're stealing the songs from this person. And you tell them that you don't, you tell them that you have permission from the artist. And they're like, no, you don't. That's happened to me like twice, and it's really weird. Make your mark. That's not it. Bro, this is brutal. This is high quality content right here. This is what professionals do. This is what it's like to be a streamer, guys. Sometimes you lose track of where your theme song is file wise, so that's fun for everybody. Ah, man. I don't want to have to do it the hard way where I go through all the downloads and look at all the music and everything, but we're gonna have to do it that way. Yeah, there we go. Alright, man, let's get this popping. I'm already annoyed by just that little action that happened right there. Make sure you're having a good time. Make sure you're having a great day. Do that for me personally, so that at least one of us can. I'm having a good day because I'm here. Alright, we got that canceled out. We got a sound check going. That's clutch. Time to copy and paste my favorite part of the day. The episode title. What the uh-oh, because caps lock is already on. There we go. Hold on a second. Copy and paste one more thing, and then we're going. You know my spammy way to get attention is? I just write all the scores. I copy and paste all the scores for the ticker that I use. TNF, NFL TNF, right? That's the tag. NFL Twitter. No, I just copy and paste my ticker that has the scores on them into the description box for my podcast, and apparently that helps people find it because it has the name of every individual NFL team in it. So yeah, going live in 3, 2, 1. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and everybody else in between, my name is Ashton Gene Lewis. This is the one, the only Broke Boy Sports Podcast. NFL Week 7 only edition, where we talk about every game from Week 7 of the NFL season. We recap my thoughts, the only thoughts that matter when it comes to the NFL, which is obviously why I have selected everything 100% correct in my Pick'em League. So, on that note, we'll start with the streaks. We'll hop right into it because, honestly, we are up against the clock, and I think this is going to be a fun game for me personally to try and beat out the start of Thursday Night Football every single Thursday. So we'll take it from the top, ladies and gentlemen. Let's start off with the nuke, if you will. The nuke, if you're not familiar with it, it is the individual player that in fantasy absolutely destroyed you, and there was really only one choice this week, and it was pretty clear who it was going to be and who it was. He's been killing it the last couple of weeks. It is Josh Jacobs, ladies and gentlemen, or as I'm gonna start calling him, Josh Shakems. Josh Shakems. Yep, that's right. We're workshopping it. So if you like that, make sure you pass your boy some copyright money. He was rushing. He has rushed for more yards than 9 NFL teams out of the 32 that exist currently in the NFL. The last 3 weeks, he has rushed for over 150 yards in each one of those games. He has rushed for a combined 6 touchdowns in 3 games. Absolutely insane for a running back. He had 193 yards versus the Chiefs 2 weeks ago. He had 175 yards versus the Broncos. But the reason that he earned the nuke this week is because he had a 3-touchdown, 155 rushing yard game versus the Houston Texans. In another loss for the Texans and one step closer to Will Anderson, baby. I am ecstatic. I am just having a great time, mainly because there's certain parts of the Houston Texans team that I actually do enjoy watching. For instance, as you would surmise, the defense for the Texans has been pretty good at multiple points throughout the course of this season. We'll talk about that later, and I'll try not to cry. This week's nuke is Josh Jacobs. Josh Jacobs, he's been killing it, man. A lot of it is due to the fact that his offensive line is not ending up shoulder to shoulder every time they try and run the ball, but in particular, the patience that Josh Jacobs is showing, at this point in his career, he is going to be obviously one of those guys that gets paid after this year. This is a contract year for Josh Jacobs, as you would imagine, which is a perfect representation of why he's absolutely blowing up the league pretty much every single fucking week. But it is a contract year. I have a feeling the Raiders are going to pay him. The Raiders are, they need to get as many good, high-quality players as they can get. But as we all know what happens, Josh Jacobs is going to get paid, and then subsequently he's going to be a totally different running back than he was this year. So that'll be fun for all of us to watch. I'm very thankful for the fact that Josh Jacobs has not been as injured as he has been in years past. So there's that. He has been pretty safe. He's been pretty safe in terms of not being hurt, which is good for Josh Jacobs, for me personally, for everybody involved, because we always want to root for the success. We want to root for the health of every single player in the NFL, except probably Antonio Brown. Well, we probably need to root for his health a little bit harder than we do everybody else's. That is the nuke for this week, ladies and gentlemen. We're moving on to streaks, peaks, and ditches. We got a couple of them this week, so we actually got all 5 filled out, so we're just going to take it from the bottom. That's how we streaks, peaks, and ditches. We're talking about huge streaks that are going on in the NFL, players that have seemingly peaked, or they're just a ridiculously great high moment for a team overall. And then, of course, the ditches are the exact polar opposite of all those things, and it's the saddest point, the lowest point, if you will, of either a player or a team situation. So we start off here with the streak. This is actually really insane. On Thursday Night Football, when the Cardinals played the Saints, DeAndre Hopkins caught multiple passes. He had actually 100 yards receiving, 100-plus yards receiving, and I think he had a touchdown too. DeAndre Hopkins has caught at least one pass in every game he's ever played in the NFL, and that's absolutely fucking insane. That's ridiculous. It's absurd. It makes no sense. It makes sense when you think about how great DeAndre Hopkins is as a football player, but just the concept of there have been many great wide receivers who have played in the NFL. There are many great wide receivers playing in the NFL right now who for whether it be because of the quarterback situation, because a lot of the time, a lot of people talked about DeAndre Hopkins' quarterback situation, but because of his style of play, DeAndre Hopkins is great deeper down the field. He's also fantastic when you get him on those quick release routes and stuff like that. In particular on screens, his acceleration is vicious, which is probably why that hamstring injury, that quad injury that he ended up, trying to juice up for was such a big problem for him and affected really the Cardinals overall. I saw somebody tweeting that stat out about how AJ Green, who is like a trade target for the Packers right now, has outperformed DeAndre Hopkins last year. And I was like, yeah, because D-Hop basically was playing all of last season hurt, plus he missed multiple games. So AJ Green, great wide receiver. We all know that. We saw what he was capable of doing in the Arizona Cardinals offense. We see what their offense looks like when AJ Green is not out there at all, and it is bad. It gets worse than what we all thought it really could have been, because the Cardinals are kind of riding the lightning a little bit here. They are dangerously close to Cliff Kingsbury may be getting a pink slip type territory, but we'll find out a little bit later on. Moving on, number 4 on the list, we got a peak. Thursday Night Football was the Cardinals' first 40-point game since 2017. That was they break a streak of the longest streak without a 40-point game in the NFL. 87 in a row. Number 3, a ditch. Andy Dalton lost Thursday Night Football. We all saw that. That amazing photo of Marco Wilson, who, by the way, big-time gamer. We talked about him on the Broke Boy Sports podcast one time because he signed a deal, I think it was with FaZe Clan, to sign up with them. And he's a big-time gamer, and he made that absolutely amazing play that resulted in truly an iconic video and photo that has been taken afterwards. So I love it. Andy Dalton is 0-12 in his last road primetime games. He was 0-11 going into Thursday Night Football. Obviously didn't go his way, didn't shake out his way. That game is deceptive in the sense that the score was very high, but the game was not very fun. Moving on. Number 2 on the list, streaks. Undefeated home teams in the NFL. The Bills, the Eagles, and the Vikings. One of these things is not like the other. Number 1, my bad. Mac Hollins has officially peaked, ladies and gentlemen, or is peaking. He's peaking because he's going to keep catching balls and keep catching touchdowns. So Mac Hollins, a person that we talked about in like week 2, where he was on pace to surpass his career high in literally every category, like 3 weeks into the season. He's already got a career high in catches and yards. He is 2 away from the most receiving touchdowns he's ever had in his entire NFL career. And if the Raiders let him throw one of them, let him throw a pass or two, he will have tied his career high in completions, because he's got a pass thrown with the Dolphins and the Eagles, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, Mac Hollins having one hell of a year, despite all the funny stuff that's going on with the Raiders, where like they're good but not good at the same time. Anyway, moving on. Oh, record breakdown. We went 8-4 for the spread, and we also went 8-4 for straight up picks. So right now we're currently in the 70th percentile for both of those categories, which is terrible for me personally. I spent most of last season in the 90th percentile, but I will also point out I had, if you guys didn't know, I had the flu last week. I talked about it on the Challenge podcast, and I'll talk about it here. I had the flu last week, so I basically was like shut down completely. Like when I say shut down, I mean I barely was drinking water when I had the flu. So there's that going on with it. It was not fun. It was not a great time for your boy, but we powered through. We figured it out. We're out here living. We're out here doing well now. We're doing a lot better now. The worst thing is my nose is a little runny. That's pretty much it. So I'll live with that. You know what I mean? Because for a while there, it was tough. It was tough, like hydrating. I had to, luckily for me, I have a fantastic girlfriend. I got sick, or my flu triggered while I was hanging out with my girlfriend, and I went to go take a nap, and I woke up and I had like 102-degree fever, like multiple points over the course of an entire week. So that was fun. And then of course she got it, because she was sleeping right next to me at her apartment. And luckily, only she got it from me, because I took off for the entire week. Didn't do any social media stuff, didn't post anything at all whatsoever, so that was a little tough. And I'm a week behind, as I always am. So if you see me posting stuff social media-wise, it is not because I forgot, which is something that does happen. It is because your boy was out here fighting. Not for my life. I never thought my life was in danger at any given point, but your boy was out here fighting. fighting to be able to get back to eating Whataburger on a regular basis, which I did, and the first time I did was amazing. So, anyway, it's time to talk. Let's have a little let's have a conversation between you, me, and some of these scores. As you guys know, on this show, the NFL only show, we break everything down into multiple categories. And before we get started, I got a couple of things I wanted to point out about how the NFL season is going so far. These are just like some basic observations you can look at from the records of the teams that tell you how crazy this season is so far. One team is undefeated. We're in week 7. That makes sense. The Eagles, the Philadelphia Eagles, who are, by the way, as a town, killing it right now. Just need the Flyers to not suck, which is asking a lot. But right now, the Phillies in the World Series versus the Astros, where, subsequently, things are going to happen to the Phillies that they never thought were going to happen. They're going to get swept. It's going to be bad news for everybody, but guess what? Your boy is going to get to update and buy a new World Series hat. And that's what we're really here rooting for. That's the most important part. Cigars, champagne, new World Series hat. It's happening next week, and my Quidditch season starts next week as well, next weekend. 2 division leaders are 1 game over 500. Out of the there are 4 divisions in each conference, so there's 8 in total. 2 of those teams are literally 4-3 on the season, so not really like they're just running away with it, because every team below them also has like 3-3. Like the NFC West is crazy right now. One division leader has a losing record, and it would not be the team you think it is, the team that's on Thursday Night Football tonight, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and it is. Come on down. 10 teams sit with 3 wins on the season, 7 weeks in. Think about that. 7 games have been played for pretty much every single team, and 10 out of the 32 teams have 3 wins. And depending upon where you exist in the NFL, that can literally range from being in last place like the Washington Commanders or first place like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. There's a 3-win team in first, second, third, and fourth in some division or multiple divisions in the NFL right now. That's how tight everything has been. We talked about how there have been record number of 1-possession games so far this season and how absurd that is when we all think about it. And it kind of shows itself. Some of the games have been bad 1-possession games. Other ones have been like race against the clock type shit, and it's been fun to watch for me personally. I know for a lot of people who are like casual NFL fans, I know a lot of the big wig like national market guys, they want to see like amazing stuff happen back and forth, but I find, and see, this is my problem, like this, I'm the reason the NFL makes money, because I'll find something to enjoy about every single game that I watch, mainly because I know personally I have to watch every single game, so I gotta find something I enjoy about it. Which, by the way, it's time to talk about the 4 different categories that we sort all the games into. If you don't know, for the weeks, the NFL only episodes so far this season, I've been separating them into 4 different categories. The Snooze Fest category, the Heartbreakers, by the way, Heartbreakers running away with it so far this week in terms of games. Oh my, which is a game where something weird happens that is either impressive or disturbing. And then there, the This Is What We're Here For category, where you finally get to see some stuff that is like fan creating. They're the type of games that create fans, and they rarely happen every single week. We have, I think it's 2 of them this week, and it's usually no more than 2. Like these are the type of games that create fans. Like I said, sometimes they're high scoring games, sometimes they're low scoring games, but we'll talk about that in a second. Let's start with the Snooze Fest. Snooze Fest didn't have as many, and we'll talk about why in a little bit. Snooze Fest, we got Panthers, Buccaneers. So this game was massively important. It almost made the oh my category, mainly because the Buccaneers got completely embarrassed, but this was not surprising to me, and it shouldn't be surprising to you, because we've been talking about how good the Panthers defense has been all season. So them going up against a Buccaneers offense that is, one, a little shaky at the wide receiver position, has a non-existent run game, really has been struggling with the offensive line continuity across the board, and that has subsequently affected the passing game. I will point out the defense for the Buccaneers has been on point this season, and for some reason they gave up. Like, there was a lot of these times where like the Panthers were going up and down the field. Yes, PJ Walker looked better than Tom Brady in this game, but the fact of the matter is that the Buccaneers defense has usually been able to hold it down. 21 points is holding it down in my opinion, but a Panthers offense that we saw in control of Baker Mayfield, who is now the backup quarterback despite being hurt and stuff like that. We saw with the backup quarterback situation and a new head coach in line, because Matt Rule's been fired. Steve Wilkes wins his first game as interim head coach. we saw a Panthers offense that was like, couldn't. It's so hard to explain. Robbie Anderson's gone via trade, but the fact of the matter is they had so many times where they had opportunities to score like 30, 40 points in games, but they couldn't because of the accuracy at the quarterback position. We've talked about there's been multiple times where Robbie Anderson's been open and he and Baker Mayfield were literally thinking about two different routes. DJ Moore's been wide open and Baker Mayfield's missed him he's got like literally nobody around him for like 15 yards, and that affects them. But clearly, like the Panthers offense versus this high quality Buccaneers defense, they showed up big time. A lot of this was run-centric stuff because it felt like there was a problem in terms of the consistency for the Panthers offense. But they came out there, they got 21 points. Defense held it down, 3 points against the Buccaneers, and got a lot of like really key stops they kind of embarrassed the Buccaneers offense. Like the whole like they couldn't really get into the Panthers territory thing was pretty embarrassing. The Jets and the Broncos played, and the final score is 16-9. I'll summarize this game with the chart. So I'm in a fantasy football league, a punishment league, and they have a Snapchat group chat. And in the group chat every week, there's like a guy who likes to see. He basically is just like, I like charts. I have another friend who's in there, shout out Beth, who also likes charts. And so our goal every week is to find like the funniest chart and post it in funniest football chart and post it in the football chat. And this week's chart was about how ridiculous the the Broncos defense is. The Broncos could have a top 3. Honestly, if they had a semi-competent offense, they would have the number 1 defense in the NFL. And the Broncos offense is so bad that the number one defense in the NFL, potential number 1 defense in the NFL, is got like 1 win or 2 wins on the season. That's how bad their offense is. They're like in a whole nother stratosphere in terms of bad as an offense, despite having elite level defense. And that is what showed itself in this game. I'm sure it was tons of fun for all those Jets fans, as they are one of like 3 teams with 5+ wins on the season. So it's been pretty fun for them. They took it to them, man. The Jets defense, like I said, they're top 5 in hitting out here. They top 5 in hitting motherfuckers out here. This was also a game where Russell Wilson did not play, and there was still bad offense. So now, subsequently, because stupid football brain be like, 2 different quarterbacks mean not quarterback fault, Nathaniel Hackett be fired. Nathaniel Hackett's on the hot seat 7 games into his NFL career, and not to be the one caping for the white guy who's out here coaching, who just so happens to have a father who coached for a really long time in the NFL and is a clear product of nepotism to a certain degree. Not to be that guy, but 7 games, it's a bit much. It's giving Dwayne Haskins versus Mitchell Trubisky in terms of opportunities to play. Heartbreakers. That was the end of the snooze fest category, by the way. Those are the 2 most boring games of the entire week. Heartbreakers category. This one was the first one was a blowout. Joe Burrow had what we all thought would happen when he met up with the Falcons defense, which has had moments of being good, but basically for the past 15 years, except the Super Bowl season, has been probably one of the worst in the NFL on average, bottom 5, bottom 10. Their defense was pretty terrible, and it showed in this one because Joe Burrow had a 500 or a 490 something yard game with like 4 touchdowns when it was all said and done. They basically got whatever they wanted, and it was kind of weird that they only were able to get 35 points out of this because there's other things wrong with the Bengals. But the 17 points the Falcons scored is a damn near miracle against the crazy good. The Bengals defense is like top 5 in the NFL this year again. The thing that's been lacking showed up. Whereas the like I said, the 17 points is kind of amazing that the Falcons got versus the Bengals. But the Falcons got tuned up, and it was heartbreaking because the Falcons looked like they could be a and really, honestly, in the NFC South, they literally could win the division still and like run away with it because of how bad the NFC South is this year overall. Like we just talked about a game where like PJ Walker went up against Tom Brady. The fact that we're even having that conversation is a little wild. And then on top of that, the crazier part is Tom Brady lost that game. So the Saints have a quarterback with 4 broken vertebrae who probably is healed up by now, but they're just choosing not to play him. And so they're playing Andy Dalton, who only has so much extent of his abilities that he can play for a long period of time before he starts becoming a detriment and a reason that you lose games. But yeah, like the Falcons are probably the most stable team in the NFC South, which means they're probably going to be a playoff team, which is weird to think about. But yeah, Bengals 35, Falcons 17. Bengals tore them up. It was heartbreaking because the Falcons looked like they had a lot going for them after that Browns-Falcons game, which was a lot of fun to watch. Cowboys-Lions, this was a heartbreaker because it was either going to be a heartbreaker or a snooze fest, but the Lions had the lead when they scored 6 points, and then they, for the third week in a row, just like decided to stop playing offense. I thought the Lions were going to be a playoff team, and as of right now, they're looking like they're going to be top 5, baby. Top 5 draft picks. 24-6. The Cowboys defense does what they've done all season and absolutely smothering people. A lot of that is a product of the ridiculous amount of pressure they are able to generate, which subsequently creates bad throws, and they have the king of being where the bad throw is thrown right to his hands in Trayvon Diggs. Some weird quote came out from Micah Parsons about how people think that Trayvon Diggs is not very smart. And I'm like, I don't think anybody's ever questioned Trayvon Diggs' intelligence. Many would say that if you're like a gambler like Trayvon Diggs is, and can generate turnovers at the rate that he does, it takes a deep, intricate understanding of the football field and like how football operates to be able to do that kind of stuff. Even when you lose in terms of like allowing catches and shit like that, the fact of the matter is that Trayvon Diggs clearly has a high level understanding of what his opponents are doing against him, and he is, instead of letting them get what they want, he is creating problems. Like he's creating not only turnovers, but also like defending passing lanes that they didn't think that a defensive back could defend. But yeah, it was really weird. He was just like, yeah, he went to prep school. A lot of people didn't think he was smart, but he went to prep school. And I was like, who's calling football players dumb? Still, in 2022, intelligence shows itself in like 1,000,000,001 different ways, and it's kind of weird. It's kind of weird to hear somebody saying he's dumb. But anyway, Titans, Colts, super sad. This one is in the heartbreaker category because the Colts are broken. They are now starting Sam Ehlinger. Matt Ryan had like, I guess what PFF would call the dead cat bounce, where like a cat bounces up from the ground after it falls off of a building. And that bounce is like one win in the NFL. It's a weird, or there's like the explosive whale thing where things are so putrid that all of the fumes build up inside the whale's body and then it blows up, and the explosion is like the one win you get out of a terrible situation. Matt Ryan looked pretty good last week, and then the Titans did what they've done all season. They've been probably one of the most consistent teams in the NFL, despite people, and I think this is something that's happening across the league. There's this massive store of people who have been so hooked on the passing game being the most dominant thing that a team can, like, if your team cannot pass the ball, they are not good in people's opinion. When we're looking at like what the Giants are doing, we're looking at what the Jets are doing, we're looking at what the Titans are doing, and they're tricking people into getting into the nitty gritty of defending the run, and the zig and the zag are happening. The zig and the zag of like linebackers are like 50 pounds lighter than they used to be. And so now they're struggling when it comes to defending like run gaps and stuff like that. They're struggling when they're having to go up against guards, because if they try and use their speed to get around a guard, they push themselves out of the play, right? I think that's happening. And a lot of people who are hooked on the passing game are just like, their brain can't process like, hey, guess what? There are other ways to win football games, and the Titans and the Giants and a bunch of other teams are on that bandwagon or on that train in terms of being able to try and figure out how to make this happen. The Titans crushed the Colts in this game, and they did it Iowa style, if you know what that means. Not with defensive plays, but Iowa style in terms of like these low scoring games where like if we get up by like one possession or like two possessions, it might as well be 4 touchdowns because of the way that they've been playing. The Titans also generated a defensive touchdown in this game, which is a little concerning for their lackluster offense. A lot of it is centered around like everybody being like, oh, they got rid of A.J. Brown. You know what I mean? That's a factor as well. But at the same time, like, you got to have more than one good wide receiver if you're an NFL team. And I get it. A.J. Brown is good enough to basically have the production of like 3 different NFL wide receivers, but we got to do better. We got to do better. And I say we in terms of like, if you're a Titans fan, you know you got to do better. The Colts in this situation, man, like the Colts have like a top 5 defense in the NFL, and it looks like they're carrying them as far as they possibly can, and the offense literally just can't score 21 points. There are so many of these games where if the Colts could score 21 points, they would win them. But they just can't. Anyway, Commanders-Packers. This one was alarming. It probably should have made the oh my category more so than the Heartbreakers one. But I think what put it in the Heartbreakers category is when I went to my Sports Burner account where I follow like sports photographers and every athlete in the NFL to like look at the cool photos that people take. The biggest photo that kept popping up was that photo on the last play where Aaron Rodgers is trying to throw the ball down the field and 2 Commanders defensive linemen are like flying in above him as he's going down to the ground. And that was the last play. And of course the photo that I'm pretty sure every single Vikings, Lions, and Bears fan, well, maybe not the Lions. I don't think the Lions are in a position where they can really be out here hating on the Packers. But the Bears, they probably are commissioning a mural in downtown Chicago of that photo of Aaron Rodgers face down on the ground for the last play of this game. The Commanders drug the Packers into the mud. This is one of those instances where we're starting to realize like what the height of the Packers offense is capable of. If their defense doesn't show up and absolutely shut down everyone, which is something we've been talking about the last couple of weeks with the Commanders, where like the arm talent of Carson Wentz is nowhere near in the same stratosphere as the actual skill level of the wide receivers that he has on his team. Like Scary Terry, Curtis Samuel, with Logan Thomas, they have so many, Antonio Gibson, they have so many people who are massive threats when they have the football in their hand. They just don't have somebody who can put the football in their hand. And Scary Terry had a huge week this weekend. Hopefully he's going to get back on track. Dolphins, Steelers. This was in the Heartbreakers category because so Tua came back. Everybody was super concerned about that. But the Dolphins went from one of the most electric offenses in the NFL to 10 points versus the Steelers. And most of the reasoning behind those situations... Wait, that's not the right final score, is it? Hold on. I say the right final score. By the way, we are rolling through it right now. Yeah, 16-10. They're in the Heartbreakers category, still for the same reason. They're a 16-point team. A lot of what did in the Steelers was some of the stuff that Mr. Pickett did. The turnovers in a tight game like that spell absolute doom. The Steelers are a team that they turn the ball over one time, they lose the game. That's what, in my mind, there's a category of teams that their offense doesn't have enough pace. Their offense doesn't have enough consistency. Their offense really doesn't seem like they have go-to plays or go-to players in key situations. Chase Claypool, and I remember this. We talked about this 2 weeks ago. I was like, now that Kenny Pickett is the quarterback, you have to reset what you believe about all the wide receivers on the team. Since Kenny Pickett has become the quarterback, Chase Claypool, in the 2 games that Pickett has been the quarterback, has had more receiving yards and touchdowns than he had the first 5 games with Mitchell Trubisky. But nonetheless, the offense for the Steelers, a lot of people, of course, the pressure is on Matt Canada at all times. Because everybody knows that George Pickens is good. Everybody knows that Deontay Johnson and Chase Claypool and Najee Harris are good, and they're not having opportunities where they're being maximized. And a lot of that is pressure that should be on the offensive line. But most people don't know the name of an offensive lineman, so they can't blame them for things that are going on. But the Steelers are a shoulder-to-shoulder offensive line. When they want to run the ball and the other team knows that they're running the ball, their offensive linemen end up shoulder-to-shoulder and there's no lanes to run through. That happens so often. Kenny Pickett is... he's a young quarterback, and for people to expect him to come out there and be absolutely amazing off the jump is absurd, especially against a Dolphins defense that we can speculate is probably like top 5 in the NFL on any given Sunday, and overall it's probably top 10 especially when it comes to pass coverage. Like they had that moment on Sunday Night Football where they were like, "What?" People are wondering why aren't they throwing the ball to Deontay Johnson, and then they just showed Xavier Howard locking Deontay up at every single snap. And it's not surprising. It shouldn't be surprising if you watch football, but it is surprising for some people. But nonetheless, the Dolphins defense, they killed in this one. The turnover battle was lost by the Steelers, and so they lost this game, even though there were so many bad plays from the Dolphins offense. So many bad plays. But they look cool in those uniforms, though. Those socks look really dope, I'll admit. The oh my category. So we have Monday Night Football. The Bears took on the Patriots 33-14. We got 20 minutes before Thursday Night Football kicks off. We are killing it right now. 33-14. So the big story out of this one, surprisingly enough, not the Bears scoring 33 points, which I think they haven't done in like 3 months or 3 seasons or some shit like that. Anyway, it is the moment where Mac Jones goes out there, has, 3 terrible possessions, and then they pull him out, put in Bailey Zappi. Zappi hour starts. Zappi hour scores 14 points. On the first drive that Bailey Zappi had, fucking killed it. Got a touchdown catch out of Jacoby Myers, of all people, who, by the way, if you don't know Jacoby's history, basically, or was it up until last season, he had been in the NFL for like 5 years or 3 years and had not caught a touchdown pass, and then he had a game where he scored, he caught 1, or he caught 2 in one game, and now every time he catches a touchdown pass is absolutely absurd. Bailey Zappi got a touchdown catch for Jacoby Myers. Like in a weird situation. If you go back and watch that film, or if you go back and watch that highlight, it's like a weird angle that Jacoby Myers takes to catch that ball. He catches it like pirouetting around, gets up, and like inches before the DB from the Bears touches him, he runs over and jumps into the end zone. That is the highlight of this entire game for the Patriots. The Patriots defense went out there. They looked like they were top 5 in the NFL. The Patriots looked like they were top 5 in the NFL. But guess what? It's really tough when your team has 8 possessions and they give away more than half of them, either via turnover or by like field positioning. That's exactly what happened in this game. The Bears were able to score 33 points in a game where they literally couldn't pass block half of their passing attempts. Their rush game was there. They were killing it up front. Brisker with the absolutely insane interception. Probably one of the coolest things I've ever seen. All the photos from it look amazing. Anthony Brisker is the name that I'm thinking of. Killed it out there at the safety position. That motherfucker's too big to be playing safety in the NFL. Not to be that guy, not to be that motherfucker's too big to be doing this type of thing, but that's exactly what happened. Like, he's too big. He's too big to be playing safety in the NFL. He's like 6'5", 6'4", something like that. Anyway, by the way, was doing some draft research. The number 1 wide receiver coming out this season, according to like other draft people and PFF and stuff like that, they apparently he's 6'4", and people speculate he runs a 4.3. The evolution of football players continues to shock the fuck out of me. Anyway, my big question was coming out of this game. What theory do you prescribe to as a listener? Tell me, hit me up on Twitter at FB_playbook or on my personal account at TheAshtonJ. Hit me up on Instagram at TheAshtonForever. In this moment, there's a couple of things that happen. We saw this happen with Justin Herbert most recently, where, Tyrod Taylor gets his lung punctured by a doctor for the Chargers. And then Justin Herbert gets thrusted into the starting role, goes out there and kills it. Do you prescribe to like the whole week of preparation? I feel like a lot of people talk about this when it comes to quarterback situations. Or should quarterback be like baptism by fire, or should it be one of those situations where you feel like you're gonna put the player in the best position to succeed, which you would imagine would be to give them the most time to prepare for the biggest challenge of their life. Like, there's probably not going to be very many games more challenging in your life as a football player than your first one in the NFL, right? Even the Super Bowl may be challenging, but the first time you ever go out there and play NFL football against NFL football players in a live NFL game where people are trying to win the game, right? Like, even preseason is not one of those things, because we know that not every team, like, there are more teams not trying to lose. There are more teams less concerned with the actual score of NFL games in the preseason than there are in the regular season, which is a conversation for another day. But yeah. I just always wondered what it is, because obviously the answer is dependent upon the type of athlete, right? Like, there are some people who got to the NFL off of the fact that they have ridiculous amounts of raw talent that they have been honing for years. They worked really hard to turn as much of that talent into skill before they got to the NFL. And so when they get put in tough situations, their physical abilities overcome the tough situations. Whereas there are other people that it all comes down to like a mental game. Everybody has like a mental aspect to their game for sure. But some people clearly They have to have more mental preparation. You'll find this a lot in a lot of backup quarterbacks in the NFL. They have ridiculous physical talent, but their preparation is paramount to their ability to be successful. And I'm not saying that that's not the case for starting NFL quarterbacks, but there are certain guys that are far more mentally centric in terms of how they approach and attack the game, and it also is a direct correlation to their confidence. There's a lot of dudes who play quarterback, who play other positions as well, that are just playmakers, that when things go horribly wrong, they got a plan for when things go bad, right? And there are other people who they have to script out the plan. There are other people who, when things go horribly wrong, and we talk about this is a thing in life as well, there are people who operate so much better in the heat of chaos than they ever will in a calm, organized situation. And it's a skill that some people are born with. It's a skill that some people develop through experience. And that's a factor that goes into, I think, quarterbacking as a whole. What do you do when things go horribly wrong? Because I'm going to tell you this right now. Like, if you're a rookie quarterback starting in the NFL for an NFL franchise, something has gone horribly wrong for you to end up in the situation that you're in. But yeah, Zappe went out there, had 2 good possessions, and then everything else sucked. Which, by the way, is two better possessions than what Mac Jones had in that game. The Patriots fans were calling for Zappe. I think they talked to Jacoby Myers after the game, and he was just kind of shocked that the fans would do something like that in a tough situation. But it is, they're called massholes for a reason. So the turnovers were pretty brutal, and the Bears took advantage of them and crushed them, despite the fact that the Bears' offensive line may be far worse than we all thought it was. They had some moments where they gave time to Justin Fields, but if you're a young quarterback, when 3 out of the 4 times you drop back to pass, you're immediately under pressure. And there's like a video going around. It was a meme of like bulls that got loose at a bulls that got loose in the running of the bulls into the stands, and everybody's running away. There's a guy trying to dodge one of the bulls, and he gets absolutely plowed by one of them. And they're like Justin Fields as soon as they snap the ball. And I'm like, yeah, pretty much. So yeah, that game was very interesting in the sense that the Bears took advantage of the other team's mistakes, and that was massive. That was massively important in terms of seeing that from the Bears, because there are certain people who can't see. If you watch football enough, if you watch teams enough, you can see even through all the shit that surrounds them, the chaos that surrounds teams, that there are things that are positive about the team. And the Bears have some things that are positive about them. They're just not consistent at all. Like, there's so much inconsistency in their game overall in terms of like wide receivers getting separation. The only thing that's consistent is their run game. But they have more hope. They have more light about them than they've had in the past couple of years. And it may be because people don't like Matt Nagy or whatever, but whatever. Moving on. Other games in the oh my category. The Ravens and the Browns played each other. This one is another this should have been in the heartbreaker category, but because the Ravens won it, it wasn't. The Browns in another heartbreaking 1-possession loss. The Ravens in another game where their offense has been suspect, if we're being kind about it, right? They get a 3-point win versus a divisional rival, and they continue to trudge their way towards winning the AFC North and getting that playoff spot. But yeah, the Ravens are the best team in the AFC North right now, and it is it's a weird sign because it isn't. There's not as much consistency as you would like to see from the Baltimore Ravens. And if they're going to be a division champion, that's probably going to bode well for them because they're going to need as many wins as they can get to get home field advantage to make it less difficult overall. But yeah, Giants, Jaguars happened. These were two of the most exciting teams in the NFL like a month ago or like 3 weeks ago, in particular the Jaguars, who have not been able to gather a win together. The Giants passing game finally emerged a little bit in this one, but they still were able to do the thing where they just wear down their opponent. The Jaguars really struggled on third down in this game, and it derailed any type of success that they were able to put together. But nonetheless, the score is reflective of a really close game because it was a close one. The Giants' play style is to keep you close. So if you're ever watching a game and the Giants are like down by 3 or down by 4 or something like that, or they're up by a small amount, that is what their play style is conducive to on the scoreboard. So these low-scoring, tight games, that's them winning. And the Jaguars, like I said before, they couldn't string together 2 good drives. They couldn't piece together two good drives. Now they've lost James Robinson, which, by the way, super thankful that they finally got. Like, James Robinson finally got away from a team that didn't appreciate him for as good as he was. Because I think with the Jets, he's about to blow up, man. It's going to be so dope to see it. He's come back from like an Achilles tear and actually still look like a really good running back. But because the Jaguars are hooked on Travis Etienne becoming the next guy, because he's the younger guy, obviously coming off of an ACL tear, but he's the younger guy. He's got a connection with the starting quarterback, and having two good running backs apparently is too high for the Jaguars' blood. Anyway, they're cruising towards they're cruising towards top 10. Again, maybe top 5 if it's all said and done. A lot of these games look like they're a lot closer than they would have been last year. The Jaguars are clearly taking steps forward, just like the Giants have taken a massive leap forward this season in comparison to last season, but they're still not having their offense show up consistently. They're getting good runs from Evan Ingram. They're getting good runs from Travis Etienne. They were getting good runs from James Robinson. They were getting good movement in the short yardage game from a lot of their wide receivers. But in terms of like getting these big plays down the field, they're just not happening as frequently as they need them to be. And so defenses don't have to account for them. Raiders Texans made the oh my category, mainly because the Texans kept this game like relatively close until the fourth quarter. They didn't have like a major, super duper major mistake until they gave up a 78-yard pick six. Small things. Minute details. Minute small details. Anyway, Texans, like I said, coming off of a bye, they have Davis Mills throw a career high in pass attempts with 41, and they only got 20 points out of it, so that's a little discouraging. The Raiders, once again, they go out here, they do what they were supposed to do, right? Like, they're supposed to win. They were supposed to win big in this game, and they did. Their defense showed up big time for them because their offense has been a little inconsistent. My biggest thing overall for the Raiders is they should look like this every single game that they play because they clearly have a lot of talent. They've got more. Their talent level has increased. Derek Carr is a playoff caliber type quarterback. They have their defense has looked a lot better than I thought it was going to look. I'm still hearkening back to that Monday Night Football game when they played against Kansas City. Man, they look more than competent to be an NFL caliber team, and maybe as the season goes along, they're going to gel a lot better. They're having Josh Jacobs rip off all these crazy games, right, versus like really good defenses. Like, for whatever people have to say, if you look at the Texans, like, their defense is like middle of the pack. The other two the Chiefs, they're all right. They played the Denver Broncos and killed those guys in terms of the run game, right? That's massive because a lot of the Broncos' success comes from their defensive line in terms of generating pressure. But nonetheless, like, they look like a balanced offensive team, and they're not getting the results that you would imagine. The 38 points, yeah, they're supposed to beat up on the Texans, a team that honestly, like, they're not trying to win games. They're still not there to the point where they're like intentionally trying to win games, right? They're trying to go out there and play. They got a lot of people who are on short contracts for a reason. They're still going out there and doing their thing in terms of like getting people opportunities to play, like Nico Collins still developing as a wide receiver, getting Brandon Cooks big money so that he'll stick around for a long period of time because hopefully they can be able to turn this around like relatively soon. But basically the Texans offense petered out towards the end of this game, and it was tough because the defense kind of did their job for a long period of time and then got burned in the back half of this one. The run game, and I'm going to tell you this right now, as a person who's seen Derrick Henry run for over 200 yards multiple times versus the Texans, and then also seen both of those games go into overtime and the Titans win it on the last possession. Like, rushing yards are important and stuff like that, but it matters if it puts up points. Like, giving up yards is one thing, but giving up points is another. They gave up plenty in this one, so yeah. This is what we're here for category, where we talk about the games that were a lot of fun for all of us to watch. The Cardinals go out here and get a big win versus the Saints, a team that really hangs its hat on its defense. But if you saw this game, the Saints defense had a bunch of injuries throughout the course of it, and the Cardinals finally put it together. Defense didn't have a great day. Defense did not have a good day. Chris Olave got open a bunch of times, but I will point this out. The Cardinals was hitting like they was out here for blood. And that's Budda Baker to a T. He hits Like, he tries to hit you at full speed every single time he touches. He does not do the whole, two-hand touch people type deal. He's trying to run through his opponent. He is the epitome. We've all seen that video of him tackling the dummy, like, full force in the air and all that kind of stuff like that. That's what he does on the field. That's why he practiced that way. But nonetheless, the Cardinals go out here and get a big win. They score 40 points in a game for the first time since 2017. But, yeah, and that means the Texans have scored 40 points in a game more recent, or before Thursday Night Football, the Texans had scored 40 points in a game more recently than the Cardinals. Think about that. So the Saints obviously had their backup quarterback out there. Chris Olave's looking amazing, by the way. Looking like, Mike Thomas may not have to carry the entire wide receiver core on his back type stuff. Alvin Kamara has been rumored to be in these trade talks. I will also point out, if you go to his Twitter account right now, there is he's got eyeball emoji season in full force. Basically, he put eyeball emojis and then did the meme of the guy sitting on the couch with the popcorn that he pulled from behind the couch type of deal. So to watch the drama unfold, because there's rumors that the Eagles are trying to trade for him. So we'll see how that shakes out. But yeah, the Saints season is very quickly going down the drain, despite the fact that they are still well within striking distance in the NFC South of a playoff spot. The Chiefs played the 49ers. This was a blowout, but there were a lot of crazy dope plays in this one. The 49ers defense has been really banged up the last couple of games. The Chiefs in particular, they're starting to, I don't know if you guys noticed this or not, it's starting to come what I like to call gether for the Chiefs. They're starting to pass the ball. They're distributing the ball a lot better overall. Juju Smith-Schuster is popping off. They're finding ways to get the ball to Mecole Hardman. Their run game has been pretty strong throughout the course of this entire season, and that's going to go a long way. The 23 points, a little high for a 49ers offense led by Jimmy Garoppolo. I'm not going to lie. But obviously the 49ers are going to work on other stuff. I think, and this is my pitch, if you're out there listening, Kyle Shanahan, your dad's pretty old school. You've seen a lot of weird things happen in the NFL. It might be wishbone time. It might be. I know only a white person can catch the ball after it's snapped, and that person technically is a quote-unquote quarterback. So you can just put CMC in the middle, Brandon Ayuk on one side, Deebo Samuel on the other, and let the magic unfold. Let the magic unfurl. Change the NFL forever. Just saying. Just a concept. Just a thought. Think about eliminating the middleman, because that's what we all want to get the ball to CMC. We all want to get the ball to Deebo. We all want to get the ball to Brandon. We want to get the ball to George Kittle. Honestly, we want to get the ball to Kyle Juszczyk. That's what we're here. That's what we're really here for. Kyle Juszczyk could be the number one wide receiver in the NFL if you let them run the wishbone. Do it. I'm kidding. But yeah, the 49ers obviously needed the boost that comes from having like a premier running back at the running back position. There's this really weird culture of people. I get it. Christian McCaffrey hangs out with some interesting people. But nonetheless, you as a person should never be rooting or making fun of CMC for what we all think is an impending injury. But first game with CMC, Did the offense look all that much different? Yes, it felt like it was more potent. There was a lot of key times where they got big runs. They were like 11, 12-yard runs when they didn't feel comfortable being able to throw the ball, which, that happens. The pass rush was really there for the pass rush was on their game for the Chiefs, and it paid off big dividends in terms of like being able to shut down the passing game for the 49ers. Despite the fact that they really only need Jimmy Garoppolo to be able to throw the ball the 10 yards to Brandon Ayuk on a screen, or the 7 yards downfield to Deebo Samuels. Anyway, Chiefs go out there, turn it up, 44 points on them, man. The 49ers defense the last couple of games they've been riding the rails, riding the stairway to hell. So, what is it? Yeah, it's the stairway to hell? Yeah, whatever. Last game, this was my favorite game that I watched the entire week. It was one of my teams that I root for in the Seattle Seahawks. They played against the Chargers, a team that I root for mainly because it has two kids that I used to cover when I was a high school sports reporter on it, Kenneth Murray and Rashawn Slater. Rashawn is hurt. I tried to reach out to him. He didn't answer, so he did tear his biceps. So I would imagine I too would be trying to get away from texting people as much as possible. But final score in this one, 37-23. This one was filled with a shit ton of chaos. Some of that chaos was due to freak injuries. By the way, this is the Chargers bye week. So right before the bye week, they had so many players get hurt in this game, and it feels like it is the epitome of the Chargers. It felt like it is the epitome of the Chargers, like as an organization. For the last 3 years, they've been top 5 or top 3 in IR placements in the NFL, and this game definitely contributed to it because J.C. Jackson had a play where he's tracking who was it? It was Marquise Goodwin, who, by the way, back in the game. The track star Marquise Goodwin back in the game, doing his thing. He got his long jump celebration off, which is crazy because he jumped half the end zone. But nonetheless, the Seattle Seahawks went out here. They killed it. J.C. Jackson went down big time. They had to, lock his leg up, all kinds of stuff like that. And you could see it on film. He's running. His heel gets caught in the turf, and then his knee pops. It was terrible. It was terrible. It was terrible to watch that happen to a guy that is a really good football player. And DK Metcalf goes out early in this game, doesn't come back. The Seahawks have to die. They have to dig a little deep. They get Marquise Goodwin out there playing the number 1 wide receiver spot. Tyler Lockett stays out there still with the stickiest hands in the NFL. Also getting wide open away from defensive backs on a regular basis. A shit ton of penalties from the Chargers defense in terms of PI. I think they had over 100 yards worth of pass interference in this game. That being said, Geno Smith was out there slinging that thing. Justin Herbert had some moments where he slaying that thing, but there was just not enough consistency from their offense. They got so much help from their defense in this game. Even though their defense gave up almost 40 points when it was all said and done, the defense generated turnovers. They had one where they handed the ball off to D. Eskridge, who probably is going to be one of those guys you need to look for in the future. He's one of those hybrid type dudes. He plays running back, wide receiver type deal. Oh, by the way, Kenneth Walker did his thing. He was chopping dudes up in this game. It was beautiful to see not only Pete Carroll being hey, guess what? Offensive line doesn't necessarily have to win 100% of the time for us to be able to generate run lanes because I'm going to put 3 tight ends on the line of scrimmage, and we're going to find a way to get these dudes out the way. So we're going to find a way to get all these people out the way so Kenneth Walker can run free, and he did. He got what turned out to be the game-winning touchdown when this is all said and done. But yeah, another strange, inconsistent, poor performance from the Chargers, who seem to be going off the rails relatively quickly. And it is 7:02 p.m. here, ladies and gentlemen, at Central Time in Houston. Thank you, everybody who listened to the show. I'll be making sure to tweet it out as much as possible. I'm trying to do better about my social media overall. Thank you to everybody who watched the stream. Tell me what you think about Week 7 of the NFL season. And while you're doing that, I'm going to, get us ready to get out of here. Guys, because this one's over. This show is a wrap. Wash your hands, wash your ass, tell somebody you love them, do good. Ladies and gentlemen, talk to you guys tomorrow for the Broke Boy Sports Podcast, where we talk about all sports in the realm of sports. If you got questions you want to drop, hit me up on Twitter, FB_playbook. Hit me up on Twitter at TheAshtonJ. You can also drop questions on Instagram at TheAshtonForever. Also, don't forget, like and subscribe on YouTube and on Twitch. We're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, if you want to catch a replay of the show. And that's all I got. I have nothing else for you. I appreciate you for showing up. I appreciate everybody who tuned into the show. I appreciate everybody who takes the time even to listen to the show for 1 second, because that gets me 1 second closer to my goal. Now, if I can get you to listen to 2, 3, 4, 50 seconds, 60 seconds, before you know, we'll be listening to the entire episode from beginning to end. I appreciate you. Have a great one. Do good. The podcast has stopped. Hey, what's up, stream people? Appreciate y'all. Stay safe. Well, my bad. I should probably appreciate all my stream people. Stay safe. I'm out.